Whether you're dreaming of becoming a lead teacher, stepping into your first director role, or leading a thriving child care program of your own, you don't have to figure it out alone. Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, where leadership coach, speaker, co-author, and multi-center owner Erica Sakosio shares the wisdom she's gained from decades of leading successful early childhood programs and developing future leaders. Each episode is designed to help you use your voice, lead with confidence, build a positive workplace culture, and become the kind of leader your team is excited to follow. Expect real talk, big laughs, bold leadership truth, practical strategies, and the encouragement to believe in yourself every step of the way. Because when Erica teaches leadership, she's teaching what she's lived. The Child Care Director's Chair is proudly sponsored by Watch Me Grow, supporting childcare leaders with innovative technology that helps build stronger programs and stronger family connections. Together, they believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. Pull up your chair, future leader. Here's Erica Sakosio.
Hey guys, it's Erica on the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. I am so excited to have you here today, as we always are. We are going to have a great conversation today. We're going to talk about growing people in leadership, and we're joined with, we're going to get it right, Niki Da'Jon. She has her MBA. She is the CEO of KSL Consulting. She's a leadership coach. She's a trainer, speaker, business development strategist, like all the things. She's a girl boss. That's the easiest way to say it, girl boss. So I'm going to ask you guys this. What if the greatest measure of your leadership is not how well your program runs when you're there, but how it works when you're not there, and how confident your people are to lead when you're out doing other things like being a CEO. So in early childhood education, we often become so focused on managing schedules and solving problems, maintaining compliance, and all the things that we do day to day. And sometimes we forget about the most important responsibility, which is growing the people around us. Now, leadership is not simply about directing people. It's about developing their confidence, strengthening their skills, and helping them recognize their potential, and creating an organization where everyone understands the mission and knows how they contribute. So today we're going to talk about what it means to be an aligned leader, how to intentionally grow your people on your team, and how to move leadership development from something we talk about to something we actually practice. So tell folks a little bit about yourself and how you came into the field.
Yes, so thank you for having me. First of all, I'm so excited to have this conversation. Like you said, my name is Niki Da'Jon. I own KSL Consulting Firm and also Career Training Group. And they both really focus on the development in the early education space. So, creative KSL Consulting focuses on helping systems and organizations to develop in their business practice and strategic development. Well, Career Training Group really focuses on the educator and how to develop them in their profession within the classroom. And so I tell people all the time, I got into early ed by accident. I had a mentor who I was finishing up my undergrad, and then she called me one day and she was like, "You need to work here." And I'm like, "You never offered me a job." But I guess, okay, I'm coming. And so I started off sitting at the front desk of a childcare center. And before then, I really didn't have a lot of background in early ed. And so I spent the first 5 years of my career just absorbing every single thing possible, like really trying to understand what is ECE, how can I fit, how can I help to develop and make it better. So getting all my credentials, becoming a trainer, curriculum coach, all the things, which eventually led me to being a center director. So I managed 2 sites with 150 kids and 35 employees. And I did that for about 4 years. And then from there, I grew into consulting and training, and which eventually led me to here, being a business owner, really helping educators and executives. So like I say, my organization, we cover the classroom to the boardroom related to ECE to be able to help everybody grow and thrive and ultimately build just a greater industry.
Yeah. And I love that you're on both sides of it, because we do need to look at the lens of developing people both in those administrative positions and those in the classroom positions. And one isn't more important than the other. So I love that you focus on both. When you talk about growing people, What does that truly mean from a leadership perspective?
So when I say growing people, I'm very much from the inside out person. So I think sometimes we focus on growing people as if it's an external thing, but I truly believe it starts with an internal thing. When I was a
Mm,
center director, I was suffering. I was overwhelmed. I was working, like we know, wearing all the hats. I was stressed out and I wasn't showing up as the best leader that I could be because I wasn't investing in myself. So the first step that I always take is like you have to invest in yourself. Like your leadership is such a personal thing. And the first
mm,
place that you have to start is how do you lead you? Like I talk about this leader of one. And so if you have cultivated and invested in your personal leadership about how you conduct yourself, how you show up, how you invest in yourself, when's the last time you went to get a training that actually mattered for you? Or that you did something that helped you to bloom and grow as a leader. And once you're able to embody that, I feel like it's easier for you to give it away. So
mm,
you set the example, you model, you invest in yourself, you pour in yourself, and then it becomes easier because number one, you're easier to get along with. People can see what true leadership is embodied in you, and then they want to know more, they want to learn more, so it's easier for them to lean in. Then you also have the tools to be able to share, hey, I've done this. I'm speaking from experience. This is how you can grow. This is how you can develop. And then really just setting good systems of development because we know in ECE, it's a million and one things that we have to do. And if
yeah.
we don't prioritize it, if we don't prioritize growth and development, it just will not happen because we have other fires and other priorities that always come up. And so being able to build really good systems is something that I focus on in leadership as well.
Yeah, I believe in that statement for sure. One of the reasons I'm still in school at 55 years old because if I want my staff to keep investing in their education, I've got to walk the walk and talk the talk as well. And I think I always believe in leading by example and modeling what my expectations are for my team. So I believe development is really, really important. So how is developing people different from simply assigning responsibilities or correcting performances or, just managing people? How is it different? Because sometimes people think it's, well, I sat down with them and we had a review.
And it's like the review was in one ear and out the other. I think that managing people is you have to really look at and know and be adaptable and flexible enough to see the person that's sitting in front of you. I will say in my experience, I've had the obligation and the stress of we have to get results. Like we have to be in compliance. We have to make sure certain things are happening. And sometimes that has overshadowed the person who's actually sitting in front of me. And if we talk about developing a team and developing people, we have to see them for who they are. We have to become more invested in learning their skill set and
Yeah,
understanding their communication style and being invested in how can this person grow because our staff are not like children but there are a lot of parallels, right? The things that we practice in the classroom related to how we create a climate, giving people autonomy, letting them give feedback, being able to be diverse enough in our teaching practices to be able to scaffold learning, those are truly skills that administrators need to possess as well. And so if you think about your staff as like these little people in the classroom and they all come in with different personalities and different likes and dislikes and things like that. But if our goal is truly to know them and then to grow them, then team development becomes so much easier. So I would say that. And then I will also say, just from the structure perspective of it, is that people have to know the ways that they can grow. So when they come into the organization, do they know how they can get professional development? Do they understand the different benefits that they may have for them to go back to school or even statewide? What is available? Like, do you have an organization or a climate that is right and curated for people to grow? I'll have some administrators I work with, and I'll say the people just don't, they just don't, this just don't. And I asked them, Ask them, okay, what's the soil of your center? Because seeds grow in good soil. So let's not just say, oh, I keep getting bad batches of seeds. All the
Hmm.
seed batches are bad. Let's have a soil conversation. What do you think the environment is? And do you think that environment is conducive for those people to grow?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I noticed too is that some employees recognize their leadership potential right away. Like they come in, they're ready to go, give me everything that you got. And others may not see themselves as leaders. So how do you help those folks identify themselves as leader? Or how do you as the leader identify those people that are around you and figure out what ones are really here for the long haul?
Yes, it's so funny. I'm gonna bring up Coach Ray because I think she's a
Mm,
good example. When I first met her, we had a phone call, and the what she said, like how she answered the questions, just the way she presented herself, I was like, "Oh, there's something there," right?
mm,
And you don't necessarily feel that in the beginning about everybody, but if there's somebody who you see has the leadership potential, then going being able to, like I said before, going in and saying, "Hey, like this person may have something." Now my responsibility is to act or to question. Hey, what do you see yourself? What do you think about leadership? Is this something you've ever considered? Giving them things to be able to demonstrate their leadership, whether it's situations that they can step into to be able to see how they perform, but also giving them situations to help them build their confidence and say, oh, look, we did this situation. You are wonderful at this. Let's try to do this again. Or giving them space to be able to explore and say, hey, this was really good, but let us take some time to develop this thing, right? So being able to give them honest feedback about it as well. And then also being mindful of, just like you talk about with little people, we can't put too much pressure on them when they're growing. We have to make sure the amount of pressure is equal to what they can sustain related to their growth. Because I also see in ECE, because we need leaders, like we need good leaders, that when people they demonstrate those capabilities, that all of a sudden they're the director
mhm.
of 27 people. And it's just like, hold on. I was just in a classroom of
Yeah.
5, right? So really being able to give them the stair step. Now, as far as other people who are, want to grow in leadership, and they come to you and say, "Hey, this is what I see on my path. I would love to grow in this," then it's really the same process. Let's talk about it. What do you feel like you're good at? What do you feel like you need to grow at? Let's give you some situations and scenarios to see how you perform in real life and not just on paper. And then from there, it is truly a guided coaching process to help them to be able to build and demonstrate their leadership. And you have to give
Yeah.
people opportunities to fail and fail fast. And if they fail in a way that is non-punitive. So we don't want to give them like your first task is you have to run licensing because the risk is too high if they fail.
Mhm.
Right? You got to give them smaller things so if you fail it's not chaos. We can use it as a learning experience.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not stop with the licensing. And so many of us do end up being moved and promoted. Like, so when I started in the field, I was only in the field for 4 months before I became a director. I had never worked in ECA a day in my life. 4 months, that was it. And I
Mhm.
I like you, I just soaked everything in. I brought home that license and regulation book. I highlighted it. I was like, what do I need to know? Where do I find this? And so we are very resourceful, but I do think that we bring a lot of skills and traits and experiences from outside the field in, which makes us a
Mhm.
little adaptable. So I would say that too, when you're meeting with people, look outside the box, right? Because we sometimes are looking for like, who has a lot of experience, who has a degree in, XYZ to meet licensing criteria. But you have to also make sure that the person is a good fit for your program and what skills do they have, right? So I came from sales. So when I tell you people will walk in that center, I would close 9 out of 10 tours almost instantly. I would say week 3,
Mhm.
I was closing tours, right? but maybe somebody else wouldn't even have given me a shot. Like, you've never worked in ECE, you don't have an ECE degree, but my boss took a chance, and sometimes you just need somebody to take a chance on you. So, and
Yes.
do a skill inventory, right? Because you might have somebody who's really good at something that you really need, and you have no idea that they can do that because you never asked. You never asked. So I think it's really important to have those conversations, like you said.
Yes, and it was to your point, I was just talking to a client and they were talking about I was talking to them about an org chart. And I was like, one of the things that we have to realize in ECE is just like we have so much experience and so many resources to your point outside of ECE that we need to like start reimagining what this looks like in a center. And so when I came in, I was the first person who had the role of business development. I was
Mm,
that is what I focused on related to the organization. And so, as she was saying, she owns multi sites and has a ton of kids and a ton of staff. Like, could potentially you need like a COO or a chief of staff or somebody who is strictly focused on because you're running a multi-million-dollar business. Like, you need
mhm.
somebody who is focused on running business, who can learn the ECE side. And so I think that's so important, like us being able to open our minds related to what does childcare look like and what could it look like?
Yeah. So leadership development cannot happen through one training session or annual evaluations. And I know that you run a training company. What can organizational leaders do to create a workplace culture where learning, feedback, reflection, and professional growth are part of everyday experiences? Because we know one off trainings ain't doing anything.
It's not. They have to bake it in. And I say this holding people's hands because I know a lot of people are dealing with limited resources, but you have to bake it in. I tell people you have to plan the things that you know so you have space to deal with the things that you don't know. There's a lot of things in ECE that are expected. They're predictable. We know it's chaotic, but it's predictable chaos, right? You know,
Hmm.
one day licensing is going to come in and all hands on deck. Like, how do you prepare for that? You know, your teachers need to be developed. How do you plan for that? And so I encourage organizations to do a training plan that follows their academic year. So if you know these are when we have our breaks, this is when we're having assessments, this is when we know because school years are cyclical. It's the same thing
Hmm.
typically every year. So if you can predict the cycles, then what is the training that your teachers need to be able to meet that moment? What is the development that they need to be able to flow through the school year? So, an example would be in the beginning, you do pre service. Don't jam all the training down their throat on pre service. When you have pre service, then you know the next PD day that you have needs to be a follow up on what you covered on
Hmm.
pre service. The next
Yeah.
PD day, like we do class in Louisiana, assessments are getting ready to run up. So you need to be doing class prep before we get to this window. So it's really them sitting down and saying, what is the school year? What do my teachers really need to be developed in? What do they need to learn? How do I intentionally place that on a calendar? So again, when you get in the school year, it's not your hair on fire because you've already planned it out. This is what we're talking about. I've already scheduled it out. This is who is coming to talk about this.
Yeah.
So the days are able to flow. And then in between, if you have the personnel or the staff or the support, the coaching really should be pulling whatever is talked about in those professional development sessions into the classroom and into their everyday practices so they can build on it. Because we all know adult learning, if you're in a training for 2 hours, you may retain 5% of what was said. So it has to be integrated. It's not to your point, the one and done. They don't know. They don't remember. Once I get out of 6 hours of training, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a lot, and like you said, how much are you gonna really retain? Which is another reason why I love recording the trainings, because then you can go back and revisit them, and then you can use them with new team members coming in, so that way everybody's getting the same information delivered in the same way. So there are ways, like you said, particularly with budgets, there are ways to start to build up a library, and really get the most of your money, but it's important. Like, I can't even think of anything more important than, investing in the teachers who work with the children. I mean, at the end of the
Yes,
day, that is the business. The other thing I love too is I'd like to talk a little bit about, strategy and strategic planning, because a lot of centers don't do it. And
right.
they're just kind of like just going through the day to day and reacting to situations. So let's talk about strategic planning for a minute. How often do you think centers should do it? Who should be involved? What should it look like?
I will say for strategic planning, it needs to start the year before. So
Okay.
preferably if we say, I would just use the calendar year. If your
Mm-hmm.
year is starting in January, that means in Q3, August, September, October, you need to be planning, right? What is the next year going to look like? Being able to bring all of your stakeholders to the table, if it's partners, if you have a parent advisory board, if you have staff, right, who are in administrative or leadership roles, to come to the table and first do a diagnostic. What worked well? What did not work well? What can we like start, stop, continue? That's one of the biggest things. Start, stop, continue. What are the things that we can take from our past experience? We need to have feedback. We need to have a candid conversation and use that to shape how we envision what's going the next year that is going forward. So being able to do that strategic planning and say, hey, this is our plan for the next year, including training, staff development, leadership development, operations, facility, because that's another thing that people don't focus on. It's a crisis every time. I'm in New Orleans, so it's hot out here. But it's a crisis every time the summer starts and the AC is not working because we don't have a maintenance schedule to service the AC so that we know when the summertime comes, they're ready to keep up with the heat. And that's what I'm
Mm,
saying, just things that we can practice so it doesn't become a crisis because we understand these are the things that we need to manage. So being able to build out that robust plan of like, this is our state of the union for the next year. But then you can't just build it and put it in a file and never revisit it. So
you
I
can't.
honestly believe no, no, you might as well set that thing on fire
I know.
if you're not gonna look at it again.
Or the binders, the
I believe
binders that are dusty on the shelf.
nobody has ever touched this binder. They it's decor at this point, right? And so you have to go back in. I say monthly and revisit and actually say, are we doing what we said we were gonna do? Because what a waste to spend all that time planning and do nothing that's in the plan. So monthly go back, quarterly go back and update or revise it. Because we know life happens, so things may have to change. So quarterly go back and revise it and do that for the rest of the year. I will say once you have gotten that rhythm, because that's a heavy lift, especially if you have not done strategic planning before. Once you get that rhythm, then being able to do a 3 to 5 year strategic plan is also like the next step because ideally you don't want to be reinventing the wheel every year. Ideally,
Yeah.
you want to have a phased out roadmap that says, hey, by the time we get to 2020 30 or 2023. Like these are the things because it allows you space to plan for big goals. Do I want to expand? Do we want to do a major rehaul of our playground?
Mhm.
Do we
Mhm.
want to like what are the things that we want to do that's going to take us a couple years to get there? It needs to be a part of the strategic plan.
Yeah. I would say, for those of you, and you may or may not agree, but those of you who have a team, have them be part of the strategic planning. I know some companies, it's usually just like an admin team. I have to tell you, I've done strategic planning 3 times with my program, and the teachers brought so much value to the conversation, and a lot of their ideas we implemented. I kind of giggled when you said playground. From our strategic planning, we ended up buying new vans. We redid our playground. We changed some of our programming, and the feedback from the teachers in terms of what benefits they wanted, just all of the pieces that make your business run well and help you retain your staff and families really come for me from that planning, because we are always every day coming in and just kind of, okay, what problem am I solving? What doing the day-to-day stuff that we don't take a step back as much as we
Mhm.
should to reflect on the work that we're doing and where we're going with our business. So I think that's really
Yeah.
important. And the other thing I want to say about strategic planning is right before COVID, I was in a program, and I don't know if you have this where you are, called 10,000 Small Businesses by Goldman
Mhm.
Sachs. Have you heard
I
of
just
that?
did I did that program. I did that program last year.
Okay. So I did that program right before COVID, and that program saved my company. That
Mhm.
program is one of the reasons why I still walked out of COVID with 3 fully operational centers that were thriving, because I had all my paperwork together. I had a solid plan together. So, as the owner and the leader of your program, it's so important that you are investing your time in not only what's going on in your center, but what resources are available for you as the owner and leader
Mhm.
of your company in terms of strategy on with, and not everybody wants to grow. Growing, a lot of people will talk about growth. Sometimes people, to become stronger, they scale back. So
Yes.
you have to really look and see where your resources are, because you could have 6 centers and 2 of them are, maybe they're just breaking even. It's maybe not worth to have it. So let go of your ego, honey. If you can have 4 centers that are making you a profit, are strong, your teachers are happy, your families are happy, or is 1,000% better than having 6 and 2 of them are killing the rest of your schools, right?
Yes. I will say shout out to Goldman Sachs 10K small business because when I did
Amen.
that program, now I'm just talking about me personally, I had to that was my opportunity to step away because I'm just going and going and going in the business and
Mhm.
really look up and say, what are we doing? And from that time of just having that dedicated people just like it's very good, but just in your face, like what is going on? It's like it gives you
Yeah.
the space to really step back and to look up and say, I know this is what we have been doing, but is there a pivot? Like, is there something else that we need to be doing? And even for me, and my background is in business, your background is in sales, like these are things
Mhm.
that I know, but being able to have the space and the capacity to actually do these things and put them in place, that was a real wake up call for me because I was just like, no, like we have to go back to the fundamentals and we have to cut the fat, to your point. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that we could be doing, but should we be doing those things? Is it really taking us to the place that we want to be? What does the next 5 years look like? And so a lot of people I feel like get into ECE because they have the passion for children and they want to
Mhm.
make an impact and they believe in community. And all of those things are wildly important. You need to have them to be in childcare. But of all the people that I've talked to and administrators, it's very few of them that say they got into this because they want to run a business. And
Yeah.
that's just the bottom line. And so the business part of it is not the thing that comes intuitively to them. And so unfortunately, that is where they have to spend a lot of their time because I tell people you got to get your reps in. It feels
Mhm.
uncomfortable. You don't like it. You feel like you don't know what you're doing. It doesn't matter. Get your reps in. The more that you do it, the more comfortable you will become, the more confident that you will feel. So you have to take the time and invest in it.
Yeah. So as we start to wrap up, 2 things left I want to do. One, can you talk to us about your conference that you have coming up?
Yes. So we have Educators Assemble conference coming up. This conference is a heart project to me. Like I say, I have been in ECE for the last 12 years, and I've served in many different roles and capacities. And I cannot tell you the number of countless educators, administrators who sit in front of me and they are not well. They are making it. They are resilient. They will do what it has to do to get it done, but they are not well in their bodies a lot of times and in their souls. And so Educators Assemble was created to create a place to invest in our wellness because
Mm.
I believe a truly well and healed and healthy workforce can literally change this world. But from the very first point I made, that personal investment, that leadership of one, it is the gasoline that we have been looking for. And so I have created Educators Assemble to put the educator and their wellness and their humanity on the center stage. And so it is going to be October 15th through 17th in New Orleans. It is going to be a time of community and understanding what we need to be the healthiest version of ourselves so we can really give the quality that we're looking to give. And it is going to be a space for people to come and find community and get resources because, like we said in PD, it's not just a one and done. You're going to come and have an amazing time, but you're going to leave with resources that can walk with you on this creating a lifestyle of wellness. And so I'm excited. I'm leaving my heart, my passion, my everything, my energy on the stage because I truly believe we deserve it.
Yeah. I am so sad that I cannot be there. I was like, oh my God, of all the weekends, like October is just like, I'm booked out. But I know you have great speakers there for sure. My coach Ray, love her, love her, love her. Are you still taking speakers or are you guys booked now?
We have closed our speaker
RFP?
call, and I'm so
Okay.
sad. We had proposals submitted from all over the nation, which is literally
Yeah.
wild to me. So, but we are registering, so make sure you
Okay.
grab your ticket and come hear all the amazing people who will be
Oh,
there.
okay. We'll put the link below in the show notes, guys, so you can grab your tickets if you want to get some community, get some balance in your life. All right, Nikki, we're going to do a quick lightning round before we wrap up. Okay, you ready? No right or
Yes,
wrong answer. One leadership quality every organizational leader needs.
emotional intelligence,
One habit that holds leaders back.
ego,
Mm. Coaching or traditional performance evaluations.
coaching,
One word that describes aligned leadership.
purpose.
What is more important, confidence or competence?
I say both. You fake it till you make it, and you make it till you fake it.
A difficult conversation leaders should stop avoiding.
People who they know need to leave. When you know, let them go.
Ooh, that's good. One book, speaker, or mentor who has influenced your leadership.
I will say recently, because I just finished this, is this book Burnout, because it was a mirror into where I am
Mm.
and forcing me to realize you can't keep pouring from an empty cup.
Mm-hmm, girl, don't I know it? I know it. I lived that life 3 years ago. Trust me. It's how the birth of the podcast was my therapy. Finish this sentence. Great leaders grow people by doing what?
Great leaders grow people by seeing who is in front of them and being adaptable enough to invest in them.
Thank you so much for reminding us that leadership is not only about what we accomplish ourselves, but what we do to help other people believe and learn and become who they need to be. Our organizations will never go beyond the growth of the people inside of them. And when leaders invest in development, create alignment, communicate expectations, and provide meaningful feedback, it gives people opportunities to grow. And we build stronger employees, stronger cultures, and organizations. And to everybody who's listening out there, listen, I want to ask you one question that I want you to work on this week. Stop asking yourself, how can I get my team to perform better? I want you to start asking yourself, how am I intentionally helping my team grow? So that's it for today. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Child Care Directors Chair podcast. On that note, we love you and we're out.
Before you go, ask yourself, what's one leadership lesson you'll put into action this week? Then share one takeaway with your leadership team, because Erica believes that great leaders don't just grow themselves, they help others grow too. Ready to keep growing? Join Erica inside the ECE Trailblazers Leadership Membership at childcaredirectorschair.com. Proudly sponsored by Watch Me Grow. Together, we believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. And we'll save your chair for next time.